I used to have a job as a night restocker at a big supermarket in town. My shift started right after the store closed at 10 p.m., and I worked until 3 a.m. My main task was to refill the shelves and make sure everything was in order for the next day. Since I had the keys, I was responsible for closing up after hours. It was a two-person job, and tonight I was paired with Jeremy. I went to the store and went to the back where all the stuff that needed to be put on the shelves was kept. I got to work, using a pallet jack to bring out a big pallet of boxes to the shopping area. I began by organizing the bread and nuts aisle, making sure the older loaves were in the front and the newer ones were in the back. As I was working, I suddenly realized I hadn't seen Jeremy since I got there. I headed to the back of the store where we keep our stuff and manage inventory, thinking he might be there. However, he wasn't there. I left the back door slightly open with a stopper, expecting him to arrive. After another 30 minutes of work, I checked the back again. He wasn't there, but I noticed the back door was closed. Assuming Jeremy was around, I tried to open the door, and that's when I saw the stopper outside. I found it odd that he had kicked it out instead of bringing it in. I shouted his name, and the sound bounced around the room. No response from him, so I phoned him. He answered, sounding like he was still in bed. I questioned if he was at work, and he said he wasn't coming because he was unwell. A sudden uneasiness hit me. I mentioned that the door stopper was kicked off, and he suggested it might have loosened on its own. No one else was supposed to be working that night. I told him to get well, and then we ended the call. I wasn't completely sure if the door stopper had come loose on its own because I had kicked it tightly under the door. I quickly glanced around to make sure no one was at the back of the store. Not seeing anyone, I returned to my work. However, a slight feeling of unease lingered as I continued stocking the remaining bread. As I was in the store, a big noise caught my attention from the other side. It made me think someone must be around. I stood up and walked to the main aisle that connects all the others. I glanced down the aisle and paused for a moment. On the far end of the store, in the dairy section, I saw a guy wearing black cloths walking by, and he seemed to be looking in my direction. I felt my heart drop. It felt like a scene from a movie. I had to think logically that maybe this was someone else filling in for Jeremy's shift that our boss didn't tell me about. I started to speed walk down the center. He went towards the front of the store, standing there, fully facing my direction. As soon as he spotted me, he hurriedly moved out of sight, going back where I had just come from. I called out, "Hey, wait!" and quickly ran down that aisle to catch up with him. I hadn't really seen his face properly yet. When I reached the front of the aisle near the cash registers, I looked in the direction he had gone and saw him all the way at the end near the bread section. He was partially hidden behind a shelf. His mouth was wide open, and he began waving for me to come over, but he didn't say anything. His expression was unsettling. Trying once more, I asked, "Who are you?" And he vanished behind the shelf. I felt like I wasn't getting paid well for what I had to deal with. So I went outside and sat in my car. I decided to call my boss about a strange person wandering around the store. When he answered, I explained the situation, and he advised me to either remove the person myself or call the police. Since I didn't want to risk handling a potentially dangerous person, I chose to call the police for help. I sat in my car until a police car arrived. I said hi to the officer and asked him to come inside with me. We searched the place for the man, and we found him in one of the aisles, standing there oddly, like he was playing a strange game. When the officer told him to come over, he actually obeyed. The officer put handcuffs on him, and he was the weirdest person I had ever seen. He kept smiling and staring at me continuously, licking his lips. He had big bags under his eyes. The only thing he said was when the officer asked, and he replied that he was just looking for a snack. As the police officer escorted him back to his car, I felt uneasy about the way he stared at me. His smile was creepy and menacing, leaving a lasting impression. Despite the discomfort, I resumed my work. From that day on, I made sure to always keep the doors closed, learning a lesson about personal safety. What are your thoughts about this story? I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to our channel and check out one of these videos to help the channel grow. See you next time around. Take care.